Welcome to the Elevating Leaders series, where we go beyond the headlines and straight to the people who are redefining insurtech and business transformation. We've caught up with the visionaries and the pioneers that are currently driving the industry forward, bringing you exclusive insights, strategies, and stories you won't hear anywhere else. If you're ready to go deeper, this is your front row seat to the future of insurance. I'm Miguel Edwards, and this is 5 Minutes. What are we doing as an industry to really think about upskilling so that we are leveraging these tools? And let's marry that to the talent crisis that we hear all about. And then add one more piece to it. Everybody sets their hair on fire about how AI is going to steal my job.
Yep.
So that whole soup, like, how are we thinking about human capital in the insurance space from a technology innovation perspective?
Look, I think people always get scared of things, right? If it's something different, it's in our human nature to get scared of it. When the printing press came out, we thought that, we're going to become dumb. Nobody's going to be able to remember everything.
Right.
And now look where we are.
Right.
When the technology sector came through, it's like, okay, all these jobs are going to go through. But yet IT sector is the most employed sector in the world, right? And I think with that being said, looking at working your question backwards is, I think it's to get away from these massive, big transformation efforts in organization and saying, hey, there's something big coming. For example, when you get an update in iPhone, you don't pick up the phone and call Apple and say, hey, why did you do this?
Right.
You don't do those things. I think we're becoming so used to this fast release of content that's coming to us, this fast release of change that's coming to us, that it feels okay to do.
Okay.
And I think that's where there's going to be a magic bullet to saying the adjusters or the underwriters or any agent that's utilizing the platform has no understanding, no connectivity with what's happening in the behind the scenes, but yet it's making their job so easy that they don't even have to think twice. For example, if you're an adjuster and you pull up your claim file, and when you're looking at it, you have all the file notes, you have all the payments. Then all of a sudden, you got this little box that's telling you a summary of, hey, here are 3 things you need to do. Nobody needed to teach that person how to utilize it.
Sure.
But you enable that person when they're on the phone to be able to understand and saying, hey, this helped me. Then they become your advocates. But when you go in with this motion of, hey, we're going to do this big launch of this generative AI tool that we now have gotten, and it's going to transform the way we work and the way we operate, I think those days are gone.
Okay.
Because historically, you did need to do big bang pushes, right? But now you can do so much of it all in smaller chunks that it should be seamless.
I love that. So I'm hearing the incremental trend is really the way to go.
Yeah.
And that kind of solves for the change management dynamic as well. Cool. So I want to go back now to technology once again. You talked about a use case to me that sounds a little bit like a kind of a co-pilot type of use case, right? As you think about claims and you think about AI, and by the way, I actually want to make sure we hone in on generative AI because there's a lot of confusion. I'd be happy, by the way, if you want to explain the differences. But generative AI within the claims space, what are some of the other use cases beyond just Copilot that you think we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so generative AI, it's predicting what's going to happen in a claim.
Okay.
Right? It's really going to that future step without us getting there. So how can you leverage that behavior? And I think that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because no 2 claims are the same, right? And I think that's a lot of push that you get back from claims leaders and saying there's no way a fire loss that happened in Texas is the same as a fire loss that happens in Florida based off of the material and so on and so forth. Even on the same street, it's different. And I think it really boils back down to, how do we use that generative AI to aid instead of saying this is the concrete evidence of what should happen.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people have this misconception that it has to happen this way, and it does not.
Right.
It can. This is an option. This is the way it can go based off of the information that's available today. But tomorrow, when you have that information available, that's telling you something different. And generative AI doesn't do what our brain does today, right? It's taking a look at it. It's saying, hey, this is a bottle of water, and I need to turn this to open it. And if I pour it upside down when it's not open, it's going to spill. Same situation is like computers now taking a look at all of your information and then collecting it for you for your own organization, and then it's collecting it outside of your organization to say, here are all the predictive models based off of where the route of the claim can go. I think it's helpful to understand that it will benefit, but it is not the solution. I think people that are going to fail is when they look at it and say, this is the core solution.
Right. No, that makes sense. Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.